Okay, way to go on this Tuesday. Glad you're with us here. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy in association with our good friends at Yellowhammer News and yellowhammernews.com. Man, Tuesday in the middle of July with SEC Media Days fast approaching.
If you look at it, if you just look at your calendar, if you've got one of those old-timey paper calendars and you look at the month and you look at today, you look straight down to next Tuesday, and Longshore and McKnight will unveil their SEC Media Days coverage from Atlanta. Beginning 1 week from today, we'll be live there. I think the first day is Alabama Day. The first day that we'll be covering will be Alabama Day and then Auburn Day, or if it's turned around.
Yeah, I think it's flip-flop. Yeah, I think Alabama's on Wednesday, I believe, of next week.
And then Auburn on Tuesday. But, yeah, we are getting close. We've been at this thing for so long. We have identified kind of our calendar, although it has changed a little bit recently. It used to be beginning of summer, just slogging your way through. I mean, we talk other sports, we talk other stuff. It's not just strictly a sports show, but then you get into, all right, if we can get to media days, then we're okay. Media days, it's a total, you're working all the time, you're busy all the time and everything. It's football, football, football. After that, you're good. Football season begins, you're golden, and the basketball season begins somewhere in there. John will note, hey, are there basketball? Yeah, basketball. Yeah. Okay. Then you get into, of course, fall recruiting. Then, now the college football playoffs, and when that's over, but you got the Super Bowl, and then after Super Bowl, you used to have National Signing Day. You still do, but that ain't the same. And then after that, you get, into March Madness and all that. And, all right, spring practice, and then back again. So, yeah, coming up this time next week, I would say that is a red circle in both of our calendars, and it should be for you as well.
So, event will kick off on Monday. 4 teams will be present. Don't ask me to reel off the 4 that will be there. I can look it up real quick, but I don't want to guess. Maybe LSU's one of the teams there on Monday. I can't recall. Anyway, I'm wondering, and I think a lot of other people are as well. And this week there'll be a lot of prep. The players that are selected to represent each team, there'll be 3 from all 16 schools that'll make the rounds. They're getting prepped about what kind of questions that they'll probably be asked, some of the situations that they'll be put into. These guys do a great job in answering these type of questions. Things like
well prepared.
Yes. They know what's coming. What do you think about the new quarterback? Is he really the best one, or whatever it may be, if the quarterback's not there? And I wonder about Hugh Freeze's prep. Golf questions, recruiting downturn questions. They're coming. The prep for those type things, I think that'll be interesting.
Whatever you do, don't get frustrated. Don't, because you're going to get asked them. You're going to get asked them a lot. Go ahead and just get your mind right about that. Whether it's legitimate or not. John, that ain't the point. Wait a minute. Legitimate questions?
No.
I'm telling you, in general life, including SEC Media Days, we have heard some of the stupidest questions ever asked. At SEC Media Days.
No doubt.
And we've heard some, again, in general life. Hey, in order to get out of this parking deck, do I have to put my ticket in first or my debit card? And I'm sitting there 3 rows back saying, let's go. Let's get out. Rummaging around in her purse. I know I've got my ticket somewhere to get out of here, but that ain't got
when you got that much time and that many so-called media members that are there, you're going to get some crazy questions. And I guess the coaches know it. It's, one day out of the year, really about 4 hours out of the year for them. The time that they're there, then they just kind of grin and bear it. I mean, I'm not, like it isn't like pulling teeth, but there's some questions that you kind of go, did that guy really just ask that?
Well,
and then I've always thought it was interesting, Barry. You can always kind of detect coaches that, well, are on the hot seat, or maybe you had something happen or whatever. They seem to be harder to find. They're kind of moving around a lot quicker, going from kind of taking back alleys and loading dock and stuff like that to maybe avoid some of the media. Others that bebop around and are, shaking hands and taking pictures and high five, and they're good.
Babies.
That's great.
The other thing that, again, if this is your first rodeo, and John and I have been to 30 or more than 30, is
showing our age.
There's a small fraction of questions and conversation that actually have to do with football. The people who are there from the websites or from the shows like ours, they don't, they're not going to spend a lot of time, and we're not going to spend a great deal of time talking to the Mississippi State coach about the depth in their tight end room, or do you plan to run more play action this year? The young newbies, they'll ask that question, and all of those other guys who are just looking for content, they're sitting there going, they want to hear stuff like, Coach, favorite sandwich.
Come on.
What's the best post-meal cocktail? Stuff like that all the time. And there's, a lot of that also trickles down to the players. I can confirm that Monday it'll be LSU. You're right. Ole Miss, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt.
Oh, Clark Lee.
That's just kind of the appetizer.
If I was the SEC, though, Barry, you don't want Clark Lee kicking off the event, and you don't want him wrapping it up on Monday. You got to squeeze him in the middle, between LSU and Ole Miss, so people won't, hey, I don't think I'm going to go first thing off to start the morning tomorrow. Hey, about 3:00, we can kind of slide out. What do you think? You need to put Vandy in the middle.
There's also people who won't commit, media who won't commit to SEC media days. Hey, are we going the whole 4 days? Let me see who's on day one first.
Yeah.
Oh, Clark Lee. We'll check in on Tuesday. We'll save a day's hotel fare.
Yeah, this whole week business, you can forget it.
Yep.
Yeah, forget it.
The Tuesday, a week from today, our first show, it will be Auburn, Hugh Freeze. Get this. This is also a mistaken approach from the SEC. 4 on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
Texas, Georgia, Tennessee, Auburn.
Love it.
Hugh's going to get buried. The only way he escapes some of those tough questions is by the time he rolls around into our schedule, the print media schedule, most of those guys are going to be gone. Hey, we got Sarkisian. Yeah, we got Kirby in the can, right? We won't get him out. No,
see,
we
that's
got
good
Kirby
for him.
in the can. And then here comes Josh Heupel, Tennessee. And and then here comes Hugh Freeze. He's the only one out of those 4 that didn't win 10 games last year.
Ooh. Well, see, I think
5. So
it's good for Freeze, because if Auburn was there with Mississippi State, Kentucky, and
Vanderbilt,
they'd be all over him.
True.
He'd be the only one they'd be talking to. So I think Freeze catches a break with that lineup that he's sharing on Tuesday. Looking forward to that day, because there's a lot of heavy hitters. Yep. I think Wednesday's a good day as well. That's Alabama will be there on Wednesday. Thursday didn't really.
Mississippi State and Florida on Wednesday.
OU supposed to be a lot better. Beat Alabama bad last year. Florida certainly bounced back, looking to have a good year here. Was it Mississippi State, you said? Yeah. Forget it. That's it. That left tackle you mentioned. And then on Thursday, didn't really bowl me over on Thursday. They kind of got it squeezed in the middle with a lot of good stuff.
Arkansas, Kentucky, Texas A&M, Missouri. Missouri's the best team out of those four. Missouri had the best year out of those four last year. But as far as being a needle mover, John, I got to admit, those four guys, those four monolithic figures in SEC football, Sam Pittman, Mark Stoops, Eli Drinkwitz, and Mike Elko, I'd have to write some stuff down ahead of time. I'd have to really think there are not a lot of just super obvious questions that you guys over there on the chat line are going to say, man, I cannot wait to see if he's going to ask Eli Drinkwitz this. So, the last day and the first day, a little bit lukewarm.
Yeah, and I think you'll notice that there will not be as many people present on Thursday as they will midweek. I think Tuesday and Wednesday, that's going to be the biggest days in terms of media attention, people that are there. Monday to kick it off will be a pretty good day, but not as good as Tuesday and Wednesday in my mind. And I don't know how they go about scheduling this. When I saw the schedule, I went, ooh, wow, Thursday. But I don't have a problem with it. I really appreciate the fact that they put Auburn and Alabama on back-to-back days. They did it last year in Dallas. It's extremely convenient. Just personally speaking. So I really like it that way. And I hope they continue to do it that way.
Of course, I was on hiatus. I didn't go to Dallas last year. So,
Barry, I hope they go back. I know a lot of people had their comments about it. I've commented about all the other cities that hosted this event. One in particular, I thought kind of wore out their welcome. And they finally, not any fault of their own. I just thought it needed to go somewhere else. Which of course was in Hoover. The event just got too big. When we first started going to Hoover, you didn't have ESPN doing Sports Center there. You didn't have the SEC network there. You didn't have 1,200 media members there, and they just ran out of space. It just got the event got too big for that venue.
Right.
And I thought the venue in Dallas was very good. There was a lot of room. There was a lot of space. And I thought it was kind of a nice change of pace. I know a lot of other people thought it was too far. Why are we going out there?
But a lot of people, from out there thought, man, this is great. We get a little centralized in our thinking. Hey, for us, an hour and a half, 2 hour drive up there, we're fine. Everybody else is like plane flight from Lexington or Columbia and
I think that's what we're getting, in a league that's as big as the SEC has gotten. That's just the way it is. It's a big league. And sometimes you got to fly I flew out there. I flew to Dallas last year.
Oh, I figured you weren't driving. No.
No, yeah. But it was in Birmingham, it wasn't in downtown. It was out at a shopping mall. I mean, in Dallas, it was downtown, Nashville, on Broadway downtown, Atlanta downtown. There's signage all over in these downtown areas. They put the big SEC logo up on a building in downtown Atlanta. So it just kind of gives you that metropolitan feel. And I'm always interested, and hopefully we'll hear this next week. Where's the event going to be next year? Is it just a 3-city rotation, or maybe they're going to
RIDA?
Are they going to dip into Florida? I've always wondered why they don't go somewhere in Florida. I've always wondered about New Orleans, but I guess they want people to go to the event, not stay out all night. I'm not real sure, but
hungover and stuff. Here's the thing. Also, I'm kind of torn now that we're on a video format. We won't get away with a lot of stuff we did on radio, but we'll have to be sitting up straight and all that. And because it's in Atlanta, we won't see Alabama Crimson Tide guy with the mock-up of the national championship ring on his head that's about 3 feet high. They haven't won a championship in 5 years.
I'm so glad that is not a part of this event. You've heard me get on a rant before. It's not a pep rally. It's not a Bama get-together, which it was in Birmingham.
But still,
to me, that was an embarrassment for the league to let people show up and cheer in the lobby of the hotel. I never understood
the
that.
media, the cameraman, egging it on, oh, and all that kind of stuff. You can hear in the background. The guy dressed up like Bear Bryant who would just walk up and down wanting somebody to talk to. Is that what you guys want? Is that what you guys are looking for? Do you want us to get that guy on camera? The thing I remember about the Atlanta thing more than anything else, and we saw this during the event, but after it was over and I was packed up and I was heading to the parking garage, I got to admit, I had this guy. I did this. This is in Atlanta, right in front of the College Football Hall of Fame. That is, what is it? I guess it's a Pekingese or something like that. That poor dog got spray painted, and John and I were marveling at it. Because, he took it, it was obviously an Auburn fan. He took it up and down, there wanting people to, I guess ask him questions or something. He had a business card for that dog. Yeah, I got my picture taken with it. I might have that, I might do that, but it ain't going to be no extended interview or something.
Yeah.
Like that,
was that in Birmingham?
That was in Atlanta. That was
in Atlanta.
Downtown.
Okay. Yeah. I remember that dog. I sure do. Yeah.
He'll be there. He'll be there again, if he's still with us. I don't know the lifespan of little dogs. It seems like they live forever.
Is painting a dog inhumane? I don't know. Who knows?
I don't know. But just that guy with little spray paint, the level of detail.
Oh, it's amazing.
And
you see, and again, Barry, this is an event where people can kind of show their trade, show their wares. It's almost like a yard sale, if you will. You'll see guys, hey, man, look at this guy with the hat on that looks like the national championship ring. I mean, where else are you going to see something like that? All this media is there. Hey, I'm going to get my 10 minutes of fame. So you see some of those guys there. And in Atlanta, they'll let them line up at the College Football Hall of Fame, but they won't let them come in and all that kind of stuff, which is what I like.
Yeah.
Before we go to break, I will add this. I like the nuts and bolts kind of stuff too. When the Q&A starts, but I always like to wrap it up with just a lifestyle type question.
Sure. John's famous for that.
I like a lifestyle question, whether it involves golf or, travel or whatever.
Where'd you go? Where'd you go to the beach?
That's right. What do you like about this, that, or the other? Last year I asked Kalen DeBoer about what he found different or what he did not know about the state of Alabama before he arrived. He talked about the Gulf Coast. Wasn't aware that Alabama had a Gulf Coast, and he had been to the mullet toss, and he was just amazed about the beaches and how beautiful they were. And he talked about how great the seafood was, and he really enjoyed it. And those are kind of things that I like to, because we hear a lot of football talk and what do you do away from the field kind of stuff? And
what do you do for fun?
So I'd like to throw some of those in every now and then, but you got to find the right one. You don't want some corny one, so I got to think of a few to get ready for next week.
Here's what we've got ready for later on in the show. It's a big period of time for auburnsports.com. John kind of touched on it earlier with Brian Matthews, our guest, a couple of weeks ago. They've got a big merger. They're now they've got some big business news. We'll talk with him about that.
Mm-hmm.
I'll have to ask him how I reset my password, because with the merger, I've been a subscriber for forever, and now I have to enter my password. I had to do that in 15 years. So I may have to get some questions from him. But yeah, Brian Matthews, auburnsports.com. From Ryer on YouTube, it's Travis Ryer, who's SEC second helping and talking Tide and all that. Will give us some insight coming up a little bit less than an hour from now.
Barry, when we come back, there's a couple of things in the I didn't know that category that I wanted to share and maybe get a little clarification on it.
It's coming up. We are underway. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. It's Longshore and McKnight in association with Yellowhammer News, presented by Bud Light.
Located just 8 miles north of Alabama's state capital, Capitol Hill features 3 18-hole championship courses. With more than 1,500 acres of golf and nature, the pure magnitude of this facility is amazing and allows each course to be drastically different from the others. Capitol Hill also features an innovative 360-degree driving range 400 yards in diameter. Capitol Hill offers a fully stocked pro shop with the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Capitol Hill for tee times and more information.
On the basketball court, the soccer pitch, or even the golf course, your crew brings their best not just for the win, but for that post-game celebration. When victory tastes like Michelob Ultra, it's worth every drop of sweat. And if you don't win, you'll still get the beer. It's just on you. Superior is worth playing for. Michelob Ultra, 2.6 carbs, 95 calories. Superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025, Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
You're not buying sticks, stems, and pine cones. You're buying premium long-diddle pine straw from River Region Straw. Kenny and his staff have access to the best pine straw in the River region, full of color that will last all season long. Kenny has locations in Montgomery, Prattville, and Auburn, and no order is too big or too small, from a few bales to an 18-wheeler trailer load. Pickup is available, or your order can be delivered. They can even spread your pine straw if you like. So call or text Kenny today, 669-5959. That's 669-5959 for all of your pine straw needs. Okay, we're back at it. 21 minutes past the hour. Couple of really good, well, a lot of great chats on our River Region Straw chat line before we get into, I didn't know that. John, you got to be a little bit more specific.
Yeah.
We talked a lot about a lot of things in the first segment. John from Wetumpka says, John, you came up with Melanie and I said we have a love-hate relationship, more hate than love. Be a little bit more specific. I want to make sure I know exactly what you're talking about there, John.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Theotis about snapper throats. That was Nate Oates, Theotis. Yes. That was not Kalen DeBoer.
Very interesting comments from Nate Oates. He was live with us one time when he within the year after he got the job at Alabama. And I remember it because it was a interesting conversation he had.
Because I believe, Barry, you had never had a snapper throat.
I was thinking you guys, and John has done this before. Hey, he did this with Mike Riley one time when we interviewed him in the lobby of the hotel downtown before the Blue-Gray game. Hey, Mike Riley, was coaching Oregon State and coaching, I think, the gray team or the blue team. And John says, hey, he asked him something about he's going to ask you something and just tell him roll tide or something like that because Mike Riley went to Alabama. Well, this was, John says, Nate, have you tried the snapper throats? And believe me, I'm a big seafood guy. I like to fish, lived in Florida, right on the Atlantic for a lot of my youth and everything. I'm thinking, I have never heard of that before in my life. Snapper throats like cutting the throat out. And of course, Nate was like, oh, you've had those at the Bright Star? Oh my gosh, those things are phenomenal. I'm thinking somebody's putting me on here because John and him are having this big old conversation about, oh yeah, all the snapper throats, man, you get them as an appetizer. And then I'm thinking, what in God's green earth are snapper throats? Turns out it's a thing.
Sure. Range Pro will get them for you out at Destin Connection. You better believe it. He's got snapper throats.
You can get anything.
You can get them at Chuck's Fish here in Montgomery. They're an appetizer. Great. Love them. They're really good. Bill from Baltimore. This is an interesting question. Never heard Hugh Freeze ask this or answer it about a golf course he hadn't played but would like to. He said Shinnecock Hills, because all the other coaches in the SEC have played Augusta.
Have they? I mean,
it's interesting.
If I was a coach, well, I'm a broadcaster and I don't play golf. I used to. I just don't have time for it. If I was a coach, is it a foregone conclusion that they've all played Augusta? Do we know? Like, I know Saban's played Augusta. Bears probably played Augusta.
I don't know if Sam Pittman's played Augusta. Maybe he hasn't.
Some of
there's
those
some big
guys.
There's some big Arkansas alums.
Clark Lee Hey, excuse me, sir. Have you had an invitation? They ain't going to recognize him,
Yeah.
right?
Man, I would probably say Sam Pittman has played Augusta because there's several members. There's one big one in particular in Arkansas. So, yeah, he probably has played at Augusta now that I think about it.
But that is, those are the types of questions, Bill, that, I mean, we're not going to spend our time on camera with one of the coaches in limited time, 5 minutes, 10 minutes maybe, and ask him whether or not his defensive scheme is going to include more, cover two, or, how do you feel about the depth at your jack linebacker position? No, you guys don't want to hear that. Do you guys want to hear that? No, you don't want to hear that. It'll be stuff like that. That's an excellent question. But now that it's been asked, John's challenge is to think of something else. And it's the phraseology as well, how you ask it.
So
rather than, Coach, where'd you like to play? No, ask him a place that you've never played, which for Freeze is getting to be a lot smaller number real quick. I mean, that number of courses he hasn't played is getting small. But asking them some kind of personal human interest sort of thing.
Correct. John from Wetumpka has replied. So it looks like Theotis has cut and pasted the menu at Chuck's about the snapper throats. Because that's right. It sounds very familiar. It is subject to availability. I will give you this recommendation.
Yep.
Want the snapper throats at Chuck's, go early in the week. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday's usually your best day to get the snapper throats at Chuck's. They tend to run out toward the end of the week.
I get it. I've never had them before. Never heard of them. Like so many things in my life until I've been on this show. So looking forward to that. That's coming up. If you, like Bill from Baltimore, want to put something on our chat line, it's presented by River Region Straw. Call Kenny and the staff or text him at 669-5959 for all of your premium long needle pine straw and all of your seasoned firewood. If you got something you want to hear about, let us know. If there's a question you want us to ask a coach or a student athlete, serve it up. I mean, I've got my notepad. I've got my clipboard right here. And we are not above. I mean, we're here for you, basically. We are at SEC Media Days representing you because you can't get there. You can't go. Many of you probably would not be able to get accredited for it. There's a couple of you that, probably have the ankle monitor and can't get without a certain period. So, I mean, we're here for you. If there's something you want to ask, we're not asking it for our benefit, although we'd like to know. We're interested. We're asking it because you guys.
Exactly. Gurn Jr. will be there with us as well, producing with us there in Atlanta. So maybe if there's a way you can get a question to Gurn or whatnot, we'll give you some information on that. And looking forward to having the trio in the big city of Atlanta during the Media Day event next week. So, and the questions on the chat line, that'd be great. Yes,
serve them up.
Sir, we'd be more than happy to do that. And there will be a lot of recorded interview information that we will play throughout the remainder of the summer because there's so much going on up there and getting people when we're not live, but being able to get them throughout the day, which is great with this format.
It is
because you can get them at their convenience. You can get them at their convenience and put it on tape and record it and play it the next day or the next couple of days or the next week, whatever it may be. So, and I noticed a lot of that's been very popular. I've noticed over the last several years that a lot of that kind of stuff goes on, particularly in our medium. As we talked about yesterday, they've kind of changed the location, the name of it, of what we're called. Because just things are evolving and changing so much in our industry.
Yeah. And changing so much in technology. Back in the day, I mean, you used to take the old Marantz tape recorder and you could tape record somebody and, hook it into your equipment and, hit play, pause, and then here earlier is an interview that Barry conducted with Ray Goff. Now, I mean, and if you ever wanted to get something on video, forget it. Video? We don't have room for a camera. We can't take one of those big old Vic Irving 45-pound cameras. We can't do that. Now you can do it on your phone. John and I will have a video setup and all that. So it just makes sense. Plus, here's the other key. Every coach ain't going to have an automatic availability live between 7 and 9 Central Time.
Not at all.
So, we will get them when we can, and you hopefully will be the beneficiary, just like you'll be the beneficiary of the insights and knowledge from Brian Matthews from the new AuburnSports.com. That's coming up when we return. It's Longshore and McKnight, our Tuesday show. Live show 7 till 9. Glad you're joining us in association with Yellowhammer News, presented by Bud Light.
Spring into savings at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, America's best-selling truck, the F-150. You can get every new 2024 at 2.9% APR for 72 months. How about an F-150 Lightning up to $15,000 off plus 0% for 75 months? The ever-popular Ford Bronco Sport as low as $25,990. The Ford Explorer, it started the SUV craze. An all-wheel drive with leather as low as $33,990. That's up to $8,000 off. $15,000 off Ford Expeditions. And what about the Ford Mustang? Starting as low as $29,990. And the all-new Ford Mavericks starting as low as $23,990 and no payment for 90 days. And don't forget about Stivers Ford's mobile service. Get serviced at your home or work anywhere near the river region. It's all at Stivers Ford in Montgomery, where Price sells cars.
The Bush Guide, cold and smooth survival skills. For a successful stint in the great outdoors, pack accordingly. Place heavy essentials near your spine for stability in rough terrain, with light items near the bottom. Now, you may be wondering, where does the Bush Light go? In your stomach. Bush. Head for the mountains. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2023 Anheuser-Busch Bush Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
All guests of Longshore McKnight appear on the City of Montgomery guest hotline. Check out the most interesting and informed personalities in sports covering Auburn, Alabama, Troy, ASU, and all the major teams from across the country. John and Barry have the best guests brought to you by the City of Montgomery. To find out everything you need to know that is going on in the capital city, check out montgomeryal.gov. That's montgomeryal.gov, the capital of dreams.
Okay, about 28 minutes to the top of the hour on this Tuesday. Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy, in association with our friends at Yellowhammer News and yellowhammernews.com. Check it out for all the latest news, politics, lifestyles, and sports. You can check out video content of Longshore and McKnight, and there's a write-up about each and every show in the afternoon. Get a little recap of it. So check it out, yellowhammernews.com.
Appreciate you checking us out here. Our live show, 7 to 9 Central Time, features Brian Matthews, who we have been promoting for the last couple of days. Brian Matthews of the new AuburnSports.com. Welcome in, Brian.
Thank you for having me. Yes, so we have combined On 3 Auburn Live with Auburn Sports and Rivals, and we got 6 stars, I guess, other than me, 5 stars of me covering Auburn athletics now. So really excited to be part of that team.
Yeah, the only thing is I haven't had to enter my password in years for my for all of my content. I got to remember what my password is now. I got to reset it or something like that. But it's exciting.
Just have it sent to your email. You can start all over.
Hey, there we go. That sounds good. But man, for in terms of content and all of that kind of stuff, you got a lot more resources, right?
We do. We got a team of 6 guys. Jay Lee has been covering recruiting for 20 plus years. Me and JG have been covering the team for years. Justin Hokeson is a young guy who works his tail off. And then you got Cole Pinkston, who has a coaching background, can really offer that analysis that I think fans really enjoy. And then Caleb Jones is a young guy that's been involved with recruiting for the last 5 or so years and really works his tail off too.
Man, it sounds very exciting, kind of a merger, if you will, and, man, some more, just chock full of information involving Auburn athletics, every sport, recruiting, you name it. It is going on, and I know there's a lot of excitement there with this coming together, this partnership. I know our viewers and listeners, and I know your subscribers certainly are excited about that. So Barry and I were talking about, media days next week in Atlanta. Hugh Freeze and Auburn will be represented a week from today. Any guesses on some types of questions that Hugh Freeze might get next week?
Golf, recruiting.
Golf and recruiting
Yeah,
and golf.
maybe a few other things about football. I don't know, but that's going to be the main subject. I have a feeling.
What's the
NIL? Yeah.
We know what the fan reaction has been to all of these reports about recruiting losing commitments, falling short on a couple of guys that they wanted to get commitment. Number one, what we're hearing from the fans, they're running around, bumping into each other, falling over, pulling fire alarms and stuff like that. Is it worthy of that, Brian?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. I mean, this is at this moment in time, this is the worst recruiting I've ever seen Auburn, ever seen them have, right? I mean, just since the Rivals era, I've never seen Auburn this poor in recruiting. 80-something nationally, 16 of 16 teams in the SEC. You don't get much lower than that if you're Auburn in recruiting. So in that respect, yeah, I mean, it's time to set the couches on fire and get out the pitchforks and raise some general mayhem. But I mean, Auburn has made the decision to do this. We're in the NIL revenue sharing era. Auburn has just decided to take this conservative approach. They're worried about offering these kids too much and not be able to back that up with written offers, and then those written offers making it through the NIL Go clearinghouse. So, and that's really affecting, their current class. They believe after August 1st, when every other school puts their offers in writing or is allowed to, that things will change a little bit, and we'll see. It's a very it's a bold strategy, Cotton, as they say down here in the South, right? Or dodgeball, whatever show that was.
That was dodgeball. Cotton McKnight, by the way.
There you go.
No relation.
When August 1st gets around here and these offers are in writing, are they public knowledge? I mean, will it be, can anybody see what these offers are? Because I've heard that. I wonder about it. But, if Team A is offering you $1 million and Team B is kind of waiting to see what that offer is so they can make it 1.2, I mean, is that the way we're going, or are these offers going to be private?
Well, I think under the, era of the NIL collectives, which was a private outside party, they could be more private. I think now if they're moving in-house, we can probably FOIA them. It will probably take forever for that information to come back out. But, most of that information you can get, with the right kid or the right agent, talking to them and getting that info. But I think from Auburn's respect, we'll know within a couple of months. I don't think August 1st is going to be some magical date when Auburn's recruiting suddenly shoots up in the top 10. I think it's going to take time. August is the time of fall camp. It's the time kids are going through their preseason practice, getting ready for their football season. So I just don't think a lot of recruiting happens in August. So I think it's September, October before we see if Auburn was really right or not.
Well, here's the other aspect of, people running around, like you said, general mayhem and pitchforks and all that about recruiting. Is Hugh Freeze playing too much golf?
I mean, he played the same amount of golf last year, and if Auburn wins 9 games, he'll play the same amount of golf next year. I just think that's one of those things that people find out about and get hung up on, and it doesn't really have an effect on his coaching or his recruiting. In fact, I've said it before, but I think the staff recruits great. They really do. They, especially Hugh Freeze, he contacts these kids. He stays in touch with them and their families. A lot of these players in this 2026 class, Auburn's had a 3-year plus relationship with. They were really set up to have a really good class until this issue came up with their offers compared to others. And this is a bottom line business now for the most part. Most of these decisions are made based on money and how much you can help out a kid and his family.
Yeah, I think the time of year had something to do with it as well. I mean, here we are in June, July, nothing else is happening. I mean, if this had been happening at another time of year, I don't think it would be that big of a deal, but you couple that or multiply that with some of these defections and maybe what's going on elsewhere in the league. I mean, it's kind of the perfect storm, but there again, signing day is a long way off. A lot of ground can be made up. A lot of things can happen to other programs with maybe some of their commitments at this point in time. I think the timing, the time of year, there ain't a lot else going on. People are grabbing for what's happening. What's going on? Oh, what is this? Gee whiz, what are they doing over here? You know, timing is everything. I've always said that in everything about life. And this is just another example of it.
Thank God I met my wife when I did, or I might still be single. So yes, I agree 100%.
It's all about timing.
Yes.
Yeah.
But in back to golf, I think the optics, you know, obviously with what's going on doesn't look great, but I just don't think it has a real impact on what's going on. I just think it's a distraction and timing. Yes.
I always like to ask you questions about, the recruits and the existing players because you bump up against them a lot. For the recruits and in the sense of keeping your existing team happy, is the Nike deal, which is now in effect, is that a big deal to the young people, Brian?
I mean, a little bit, yeah. I think it would have had a bigger impact, 10 years ago. We weren't, doing NIL and revenue sharing, right? It would have been one of those little things that might have helped Auburn a little bit, especially in basketball. But I just think it's a change. I think Auburn people in general were just, kind of worn out with Under Armour. When they started with that company, I think they were the hot, new, exciting, young company in apparel, and they did a lot of cool stuff. And yeah, I think that kind of faded away over the last 4 or 5 years. So I think they are excited. I think, you can see it with the players when they put out the videos. You can see their excitement getting the new stuff. So yeah, I think it'll be a positive experience. You cannot buy the apparel until July 25th. So I have to wait a couple more weeks on that. But, that's the way it goes sometimes.
Yeah, those boats are a little slow coming back over from China with all that Nike stuff on.
Yeah.
So I saw a piece where Jackson Arnold did not go to the Manning Passing Academy. He's been prior seasons, but he said he wanted to stick around Auburn to work with his wide receivers, felt that was more important than going down to the Manning camp. I thought that was very interesting, and heck, I don't blame him.
Yeah, he's a brand new quarterback. He's working in a new system with new receivers, including 2 guys that transferred in, Horatio Fields and Eric Singleton. So he just feels like he needs to spend every, minute possible out there on the practice fields, just getting that timing down, understanding the offense, being with his new teammates and being that leader a quarterback needs to be. So I commend him for it. And I don't see that it's a big deal at all. I know he's been asked about it. Coach Free's been asked about it a few times.
Do you like Kentrell White, the tight end / wide receiver that Auburn got a commitment from last weekend? And where would he?
Yeah.
Where would they use him?
Yeah, he is kind of a developmental guy. He's one of those guys they see the potential in to be like a stretch tight end, a guy who has that wide receiver speed and ability. But, he's over 200 pounds, around 210. We got him listed now. And you feel like he can probably be 230, 235. And, if you go back to Ole Miss about 10 years ago, Hugh Freeze had a couple of these guys, these big athletic tight ends that could split out sometimes and be like a slot receiver, but just have that size to him, be a decent block or 2 in space. So that's what they see him as, but he's not a guy that steps in day one and plays right away. He's a guy they're going to have to develop up, but with some good receiving skills and certainly some athleticism.
All right, the Nike deal is done. It's a big splash. We're coming up on media days where there's sometimes, especially by the league and the television partners, a big splash. In Auburn's terms, will they capitulate to John's long-time tirade? Will we see this with the new Nike deal? Will we see this unveiled at SEC Media Days?
Oh, that's beautiful. It needs to be. It won't be, but it needs to be. Yeah. Well, like I said, I'm all for the alternates. Yeah, do it. Yeah. I declared war on the marketing department at Auburn, 2 weeks ago, and that war is still ongoing. So
I love it. I love it. Now
Let's
you
get
want
the alternate
the,
uniforms. If you stripe the
obviously
stadium, let's stripe the socks. Whatever you got to do.
the Under Armour logo wouldn't be on it. This is an older photo,
True.
but
True.
someone sent this in earlier today, and I first saw this on a chess set with little miniature helmets on it, Brian, and the helmets were Navy. I went, now that's a great look. Auburn ought to go to Navy helmets. And I've always thought that was kind of a neat look. We've talked about uniforms with you for years now, and some of the changes that maybe they could incorporate. But I've always thought this was a really cool look. Maybe one day we'll hold out. And Auburn isn't the only school that needs to be doing something like this. Don't think I'm just zeroing in on them, because I can promise you, Alabama could certainly make some alterations and some changes as well. But you've heard orange jerseys, you've heard Navy pants, whatever it may be. I think that helmet, it could be the one.
Sure. Well, I mean, Auburn and South Alabama playing for the first time ever, week 3 in Jordan-Hare Stadium. What a great opportunity to crank out some brand new uniforms to commemorate this incredible event, this in-state match of titans in football. So I'm all for it.
Love it.
Once again, on Brian's visit, I feel like I should just go ahead and remove my video from the screen and just let John and Brian just sit here and commune, and one final thing.
Think alike. Yeah.
One final thing. In your role at the new auburnsports.com, will you be out there this afternoon covering the Toomer's Corner rolling with Eli Manning?
I've bought 2 dozen eggs and a megaphone. And I'll be out there in a roll, which I cannot reveal at this time, but it will not be rolling Toomer's Corner. That's an abomination. That's embarrassing that Auburn would do that. It's just, I think they've lost their mind over there sometimes.
That one kind of struck me as well. I went, really?
Yeah, we've heard from fans too.
Yeah. They should be embarrassed by that. The people over there at Sanford Hall need to have somebody over there that can raise their hand and go, hey, that's not a good idea. And
we don't do that here.
So what about some musical musings today on the program?
Yes.
What road are we going down today?
All right, we'll see if you guys can guess this one. 52 years in 1973.
Okay.
It's the release of one of the most popular theme songs from a storied film franchise, which was written and sung by a legendary artist.
1973.
Let me guess. And again,
storied film franchise.
I did not. I have not gotten my password set in the new auburnsports.com. I did not look. My guess immediately is "Live and Let Die" from Paul McCartney.
Got it.
There we go.
Nailed it. Nailed it.
Yes. So Paul McCartney and Wings.
Yes.
There you go.
That's exactly right. They wanted McCartney to do it, obviously with his British connection. Yep. They wanted something a little more jazzy and rock and roll. That one, of course, was Roger Moore's debut as Bond in Live and Let Die.
Yeah.
That was his first movie. And, of course, it took place in New Orleans, New York. I mean, it was all down in the Caribbean. It was all over the globe. That was also Jane Seymour's first movie. In the credits when they start, starring this guy, and they say, and introducing, that means that's their first movie. That was Jane Seymour's first movie. She played solitaire for Mr. Big.
Yeah, right. Yeah. That's right. Yep. Good stuff right there.
That is good. And then all that's brought to you by some more good stuff. Uncle Keith's Red Sauce, exclusive to B. Matt's Monday Musings at auburnsports.com.
Give it a try. Publix, Piggly Wiggly, Renfro, statewide, BMAT 15. Get you 15% off that online order. It is delicious.
Always love spending time with you, watching you and John agree on everything and getting some insight into Auburn athletics. Appreciate you, Brian.
Thanks, you guys. Appreciate you having me on.
Hi, buddy. Thank you, Brian Matthews, joining us here today, auburnsports.com. Great content as always.
He was pretty bullish on the helmets.
Yeah.
And he was extremely bearish, almost as though he was agitated when I brought up the Toomer's Corner rolling at 5:00 today with Eli Manning and something called Eli's Places. That, they're kind of selling out one of the traditions. Yeah, we know it's not after a big victory like historically rolling Toomer's Corners always about or winning a championship or anything like that. If you bring your TV show and you bring lots of cameras, we'll summon a bunch of people and we'll roll it on cue, on command, by request for you. That's
not good.
That's not the thing to do.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
So I'm glad we agree. All right. When we get back, I did not know that. Couple of things that crossed my desk. I went, really? I didn't know that. So we'll get to that before we get to Travis at the top of the hour.
Yep, he's coming up from Ryer on YouTube in association with Yellowhammer News. It's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light.
Why Hands? At Hands Heating and Air, you get this area's highest ranked service provider with 24-hour repair service, no overtime charges, and their same-day service guarantee. Plus, instead of other companies' 30-day repair warranty, Hands gives you a 3-year repair warranty. Hands Heating and Air is here for you 24/7, 365. And service is not just something they do, it's their way of operating, for you in mind. All of Hands employees are trained to adhere to this standard. They work hard to ensure that this standard is maintained, and they are constantly looking for new ways to better serve you. Call Hands Heating and Air today at 508-5382. That's 508-5382, or find them on the web at 834hands.com.
It doesn't matter if you're running drills at the park, playing pickup on a Saturday, or sinking the final putt. When you compete with your friends with Michelob Ultra on the line, competition isn't that friendly. The trash talk, next level, and the stakes, oh, those are crystal clear. With only 95 calories and superior smooth taste, it's the ultimate trophy. Superior is worth playing for. Michelob Ultra, superior light beer. Enjoy responsibly. Copyright 2025, Anheuser-Busch Michelob Ultra Light Beer, St. Louis, Missouri.
Phoenix Physical Therapy is ready to help patients recover, recharge, and rise. They develop a customized therapy plan for each patient to get them back to enjoying their favorite activities. Their experienced team is committed to providing exceptional care in a professional environment. Whether you're looking to prevent or treat an injury, recover from a recent illness, or recuperate from surgery, schedule an appointment with our clinic and take advantage of our physical therapy, athletic training, workers' comp, and employer solutions service. Experience elevated physical therapy today. Call Phoenix Physical Therapy at 239-9316. That's 239-9316.
Couple of minutes to the top of the hour. Travis Ryer on YouTube at Talking Tide will join us at the top of the hour. Robbie from Greenville, man, he is persistent. He is filling out his dance card for the remainder of the week. He wants to know when Phil Steele is going to be on the show.
Well, the thing is you better answer Robbie within 5 minutes because he'll duck out. Robbie, we did answer this yesterday. We need to ask about Alabama, Kalen DeBoer's second year and chance to return to the college football playoff. Need to ask about depth concerns at a couple of offensive line positions. Also, he wanted us to ask, and didn't get a chance to, ask Brian Matthews about Hugh Freeze's future at Auburn. It appears this was a big mistake.
Whoa.
If you notice any tendencies from Robbie, you got to talk about all this stuff at Alabama. But basically, you got to ask Auburn why in the world they hired Hugh Freeze. That type of a thing. Also, this from Curtis. But John and Barry, neither one of you guys are Auburn fans. Therefore, it doesn't matter what you like about Auburn.
Wait
Fans,
a minute.
I don't know. Look, at my background, I went to school for 2 years at Auburn. I did. And I enjoyed it. I covered Auburn from my junior year in college, doing Auburn baseball play-by-play. I lived in Auburn for 25 years. I have a great affinity for Auburn, and I don't think I've hidden it. It's not my favorite program, but
well, Curtis, I'm not a fan of
things I'm familiar with about Auburn. There's a lot of things I know. I still have many, many friends, many of whom are in, impactful positions around Auburn. Believe me, I like to think that my opinion, and certainly John's opinion, is just that. It's an opinion.
Yeah. I don't think fans give opinions that are negative about a team. And I've certainly done that about Auburn. I've certainly done it about Alabama. Have I praised both those programs? Yeah, I have as well. But you got some people in this business that are cheerleaders, and you're not going to get that here. Believe me, I've ticked off a lot of Alabama fans in over 30 years of doing this, of some things that I've said and some positions that I've taken. What do you mean? I can't believe you said that. Why do you really feel that way? Yeah, I do. Now it's
hard to be on here for hours and hours a week and be put on. I mean, if we said everything we said was just simply for effect, I'd lose track of what I said. So, you might as well speak from the heart, tell the truth as you know it. That makes it easier to keep tabs on what you've said.
And I've said this multiple times. It's been kind of difficult over the last 17 years to be critical of what Alabama's been doing. Last year, double-digit favorites on the road and losing, I was pretty critical. This is a big year for Kalen DeBoer. He has got to make the college football playoff. There's just no other way about it. Got to make it. If he doesn't, he is going to fall short. And with what Auburn's been going through, they've been an easy target. Let's just face it. They have really, had a lot of self-inflicted wounds that you can't. I mean, how else are you going to comment on it? I mean, you can't. And Brian, I know people are going to sugarcoat it the best they can, but the reality of it is they did this to themselves.
Alabama didn't do it to him. This one of the things we love about Brian Matthews. I wasn't sure, how strident or how strong he'd be about this rolling tumors corner in July. They'll be rolling Tumors Corner this afternoon. You're supposed to be there at 4:30. I think you're supposed to BYOTP. Don't bring the expensive stuff because Eli Manning, who's not even an Auburn guy, wants some content for his ESPN show. So he's going to set some sort of Guinness Book of World Record attempt for rolling Tumors Corner. I don't understand, if there even is a record like that. How do you measure it? Is it number of toilet paper rolls used? Is it number of trees rolled? I don't know. But that's what we love about Brian. He says, somebody up in Sanford Hall needs to just stand up and say, hey, guys, this is stupid. We don't do this. All right, if nobody else is going to say it, I'll say it. This is dumb. Don't let them do that. Don't.
I will be surprised.
Tumors Corner for something other than the traditional. We just won a big football game or we won a championship.
I'll be surprised if this is a big deal. I don't know what these producers have in mind, unless they're bussing people in to roll Tumors Corner to make it look good for the cameras. But just Auburn fan in general. Students going out there to throw toilet paper at 4:00 in the afternoon when it's 98 degrees. I just don't see a large crowd of people showing up. I hope that's the case. But I don't get it. I'll be shocked if there's a big crowd, unless they're bringing people in to do it, kind of like the Democrats do when they protest. Okay, I don't get it.
And here's the two things. Again, back to Curtis's point, and I know you're kidding around. We love the content, Curtis, and every once in a while, there are people we have to remind, hey, if you're just expecting John and I to sit up here for 2 hours and, give the orange, blue to everybody all the time or the rammer jam or anything like that, you're probably going to be disappointed. I get it, Curtis. We're appreciative of everything you do. But that's one of the things we love about Brian. Two things that are hot button topics to Auburn fans, and Brian approached them both head on.
Sure.
He said it is past time that we have the Navy helmets. Give me Navy jerseys. Navy pants. I already have Navy jerseys. Give me Navy pants. Give me orange pants. Give me orange helmets. And a lot of Auburn fans look at that from Brian and clutch their pearls. Oh, you can't say that. And the other thing is this goofy thing this afternoon with the rolling of Tumors Corner in an artificial sense, just strictly for television content.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
He was down hard on that. We love that kind of stuff from our contributors, our insiders at Auburn and Alabama.
Yeah, and Curtis, sometimes
have wanted to be on the show with us before, radio and everything from years back, that we'll say, I don't know if this. We do get a little bit nauseous with the sunshine pumping.
And
we'd rather have somebody we can ask a legitimate question to, and they'll give us a legitimate answer.
Sometimes, Curtis, you just got to set the record straight. You got to hit the reset button and let everybody know, look, we're not cheerleading here. We're not grandstanding. We can show praise and we can give criticism at the same time. There again, I know what happens in Tuscaloosa. I know what happens in Auburn, but they're there. They live on campus. They're in the community. Maybe they feel it's a little bit harder to be critical when things do go south or sideways, or there's a bump in the road. They're not going to talk about it. We're going to discuss it here. I can promise you that. And as far as the uniforms, Barry, it's who's inside the uniform. It's who's wearing them. It's not what's on the outside that's going to change the outcome of a game. Oh, my Lord, they went to Navy jerseys and they got beat. Doesn't matter. That's like saying, a team that plays at night on AstroTurf in the month of October when the temperature's 78 degrees has a winning percentage of 82%. Has nothing to do with the next game.
Well, along those same lines, Brian says Hugh Freeze has played the same amount of golf as he played last year. If he wins 10 games this year, he'll play just as much golf next year. Again, it's talking season.
Yeah, it is.
And, people are screaming and running into brick walls and stuff because Auburn's recruiting has not gone well. It ain't because he's playing golf,
So, Barry, last week, or was it 2 weeks? It was last week. You were in Greensburg getting the Broadcaster of the Year award. And when Travis joined me last week, I said, Travis, I gotta admit, I heard you and Barry talking about Pops and the karaoke. I actually saw the video of it and mentioned it to Travis last week. I mean, it was epic. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen anybody get into karaoke as much as Pops. This guy was belting it out, and he was having the time of his life. It was awesome.
Travis joins us now from Ryer on YouTube. On social media at Travis Ryer as well, second helpings and Talking Tide and all that. Good morning to you, Travis.
Good morning and congratulations, Barry.
Oh,
now that I get to tell you myself, well deserved.
I appreciate it.
And very, very happy for you.
Thank you very much. That was quite the night. It was really something. Got to see a lot of people that I know that you know and follow and all that. So it was good, and I appreciate you saying that. The only downfall, to be absolutely transparently honest, Travis, is because of that, I did not get to see the conversation and the commentary of Pop singing karaoke. You can see it.
Yeah, it is documented. And like we talked about last week, Pops is one of those people that, no, I'm never doing karaoke. And then he does karaoke, and then he's the guy that won't give up the microphone, Now he's like America's host of karaoke.
I like it. I like it.
It's a good view, no doubt. Travis, obviously, I know it's been a topic of discussion. Kalen DeBoer and this Alabama staff has had quite a run with commitments in football over the last week or so.
It's been a 5-star flurry. There's no doubt about it. Vaulted up into the top 5 of the recruiting rankings for the 2026 cycle. And I think maybe the most encouraging part is that, there's years in state where you catch a run where you can benefit from that. Let's say you got 2, 3, 4, 5 stars in your own backyard and you take care of business. You get those kind of guys secured. It's been Georgia. It's been Maryland. It hasn't just been a in-state thing for them here of late. So, that kind of takes you back to the Saban era a little bit and how they were able to, get outside the region, get outside the state, nationally really do some big things. And, they capped last year's class very emphatically. So Courtney Morgan and that staff, Kalen DeBoer, a year ago, they did some really good things down the stretch. But now with a first full class to kind of work with, this has been very impressive.
I also missed a chance to ask you this because this was a conversation John and I had about a week and a half ago. I introduced on the program a link to our chatters of a devotional article written about Houston Texans coach DeMeco Ryans, about his faith and his spirituality. And it was such an impressive interview with a guy that last week he had a street named after him in Bessemer. John and I were talking about that, and John just posed the question, would DeMeco Ryans be would he be a candidate if the head coaching job at the University of Alabama ever opened up again? You covered the league, you cover Alabama. Is that even something that anybody's even thought about as even a remote possibility? And what do you think?
Yeah, I think, that's something that's been thought about or talked about in the past. I think, the concern is that it's a different era than, say, when Ray Perkins left the New York Giants to go to Alabama. But I would think that would be welcomed immensely at some point down the road if it were to time out or work out where DeMeco could return to UA. He's been very much on an NFL track since he got into the coaching ranks after his very, very good career as a player. The great thing about DeMeco is if you covered him 20 years ago as a player at Alabama, which I had the luck of being able to do, he had that type of maturity about him even back then, even as a player. And you think about some of the illustrious honors that he received beyond just football, as a scholastic individual or academic individual. It's always just been the same DeMeco. I hear DeMeco now at a press conference for the Houston Texans, and it's pretty much the same guy I think I heard when he was 20 years old, which is such a credit to the people involved with him from a family perspective and from his community perspective. And that's why it seems so appropriate to see him receive that honor. And you think about Bessemer, man, offensive, defensive duos from a size town like Bessemer and Bo Jackson and DeMeco Ryans. And I know there's more than those two that have come from that area, but that's pretty darn good. Yeah.
Travis, you mentioned Courtney Morgan. Obviously, he's a big part of Alabama's recruiting. You see what he did at Michigan, at Washington, but there are others, members on this staff, that the head coach as well. I mean, it's a team effort. But what more is it about it? Is it that script A? Did the kids today they grew up watching Saban and Alabama and national championship runs and all these players that are in the NFL that once played at Alabama? What is it? What still attracts kids today, even though Nick Saban is no longer the head coach?
I think there's definitely some strong residual attraction from the Saban era. I mean, it was largely about Nick Saban during his time there, but the script A went to an entirely different level. There's no doubt about it. When you had Nick Saban in that head coaching seat and you were able to kind of go with him as your closer, you could go through the sort of staff changes that they always seem to go through. But this is a staff, Mo Linguist. It's a dynamic staff, I think, from a recruiting perspective. And Courtney obviously is kind of the orchestrator of a lot of that. But certainly, I think, we're not that far removed from, Alabama being the preeminent program without question in all of college football. And you still got enough guys in the NFL. Where it becomes a problem is where a cycle of kids can't relate to your program from an NFL perspective because they can't see it, right? They can't look on Sundays and see it. And that became a real problem for Alabama pre-Saban. There just weren't a lot of Alabama guys in the league.
Yeah.
And so when you think about Nick Saban, really, and that first NFL draft class after his first year, Alabama had 0 players selected in the NFL draft, but there's still plenty enough guys. You got guys that are retiring, C.J. Mosley and some other guys that are moving on now, but still a lot of guys in the league, and that helps for sure.
Travis, I thought one of the, and they did a lot. It's obvious, the proof's in the pudding. But one of the smartest things they did in the Saban era was, I believe it was around the first time out in the first quarter, They showed a video clip of, let's take a look at former Alabama players in the NFL last week. And they showed clips of about 5 or 6 players and what they did, NFL clips. And these recruits are sitting there looking at it going, wow, man, that could be me one day. I mean, I thought that was genius when they incorporated that into the game.
Yeah, you still want to do that right now.
Sure.
And they do. And a lot of the lifting is done for them. It's not even things they have to do. You got news outlets that is a part of their weekly coverage of Alabama and Auburn and other programs. Alabama and the NFL week 4,
Yep.
and then a rundown. But absolutely not just in season either. When these young people can watch a 2 or 3 day event that has taken on the prestige of the NFL draft, it's become such an event, and see, Alabama pretty much day 1 through day 3. That has a big effect too. I mean, that's the kind of marketing we talked about. You can't put a dollar figure on that, and you're not paying for it.
Well, next week, not going to be able to put a dollar figure on all the marketing that'll be taking place up in Atlanta. SEC Media Days get started in less than a week. Are there pressing issues? I mean, you do second helping. You talk a lot about all over the league. Are there any pressing issues or pressing questions that you would expect would be addressed next week?
Unfortunately, I think it's going to probably be a continuation about the future of the sport and what the structure of the sport's going to look like from a college football playoff perspective, going to 16 teams in all likelihood, 9 games or not in the SEC. I don't think it's going to be, hey, what about Arch Manning? Maybe as much as it should be at that event, or the quarterback position in general in the SEC, which I think is very fascinating when you consider the programs that are going to be counted on to be at the top of the league and how pretty much all of them are going through quarterback transition. I think there's a lot of potential for good on the field topics, but where we're at right now with collegiate athletics in general, it's probably going to be a carryover from the spring meetings where it was mostly about 9 games, playoffs, 5-11. How does the format look? Where are the coaches at in relation to maybe the ADs and the presidents? So I'm thinking it's probably going to be more about that than the kind of media polls or any of that stuff.
Yeah, I'm with you there too. I think it's going to be a continuation of what was discussed in Destin. I just am curious if we're going to have any resolution. I mean, we're going to get to the bottom of it. I'm really kind of tired of the talk. I'm ready for something to happen. Whether it's 9 conference games, expanded playoff, big boy league with the Big Ten, things like that. I know we're not going to get all of them, but it'd be nice to get maybe 1 or 2 of those finalized, and we can quit talking about it. We asked a guest earlier today that covers Auburn what he thought the first question Hugh Freeze would get. And the answer he gave us was about what I thought, probably dealing with golf and recruiting. Any guesses on what type of questions Kalen DeBoer might face next week?
Yeah, I don't think it'll be about his handicap. Like it could be with Hugh. What's your handicap? I think it'll probably go back to the quarterback position primarily. I think he'll certainly be asked about this probably latest run of recruiting success that they're on, because that's pretty timely. It looks like it will be heading into SEC Media Days. But, also, how do you rectify the performance of your first team at Alabama against 6-6 teams and the road performance from Alabama a year ago? Because as we talked about here, his predecessor, maybe the most amazing statistic of all, was just the job done on the road in the SEC for all those years. And it's pretty much been, in year 1, it was a return to, being mortal. It was Alabama was kind of like everybody else for the first time in a long time in that regard. So, those type of things, I would think, and, that's where I think it would probably lie the most with with Kalen.
Always very interesting stuff. Travis Ryer on YouTube, social media at Travis Ryer. We say Ryer on YouTube, and that's a general umbrella for a lot of different things, right, Travis?
Yeah, we do some different stuff on the channel for sure. I mean, we do some SEC related stuff. Last week, we took a little bit of a closer look at the Florida Gators, a very intriguing team for the upcoming season because of DJ Lagway, because of some star power returning on defense, some incoming players that are going to help them, you would think, immensely. Maybe a top 2 or 3 offensive line in all of college football. But a brutal schedule once again, man. When you look at Florida and the non-con going to Miami, I think Florida goes to LSU in mid-September, and then the next week goes to Miami, which actually may feel like more of a home game for the Gators down there than for the Hurricanes. But yeah, it's that type of stuff, and then you know, we'll get into our Alabama lead-up stuff going into the season on Talking Tide, and we'll have some NFL stuff as well on the channel.
Yeah, it's great stuff, Travis. You're right about that. Back-to-back at LSU, at Miami, and then, oh, by the way, their next game, they host Texas in Gainesville.
Even coming off a bye week after Miami, I mean, that you talk about a defining stretch to kind of determine what you're going to be in a season. You got to go 2-1 through that stretch, and 2 of those back-to-back, like we talked about, on the road. So not going to be easy for Billy Napier.
I also noted with on No Sleep Teal with Evan, I've been seeing some of the early stuff. A guy I know named Jimmy Shapiro and all that. They've got the Jaguars as the odds-on favorite in the AFC South. I don't want any bullseyes on anybody's back.
No, I'm still going with Miko and the Texans in the South until I see something different after his first couple of seasons. But you know, there is some hope, which is all we've seemed to have in Duval for a long time now.
Well, at least in September.
Yeah, it's a roster for the Jags that, you know, should be in its window still right now, even after an atrocious 2024. But, you know, they open at home against Bryce Young and the Panthers. And I've said it, for the Jacksonville Jaguars, that's as big a opener as they've had in a long time, because you know, the Panthers think that they made some nice strides at the end of last season when Bryce got back in there and David Canales, and that relationship seemed to be headed in the right direction. And, you know, you got the storylines. Canales was the OC with the Bucks before Liam Cohen, the Jags' new coach, was the OC a year ago. Trevor Lawrence, is he the guy for this new regime? Going to be a lot in play there for sure.
You better know it. Always a lot in play. That's why we always enjoy having our man Travis Ryer joining us each week. A great info and content as always, Travis. Thank you so much, my friend.
Thanks, guys. Have a great week.
You too, buddy.
Appreciate it.
Man, great stuff from Travis Ryer. Check him out, Ryer on YouTube. Man, Robbie from Greenville bringing the heat today. Tobias out in the desert of Arizona. Our man Bill Valentine, he's in today as well. So a lot of stuff going on with our River Region Straw chat line today.
Yeah, Bill says, Bill Valentine, love this kind of energy, all caps energy. Boy, oh boy, Bama is cleaning up on recruits. I believe we woke up a sleeping giant. Sleeping? Is sleeping?
Did you see the game in Norman last year?
Well, they're sleepwalking, maybe. Yeah. So.
And I love Tobias here. This is if you haven't followed Tobias, this is kind of a little shot at Jalen Milroe here. Tobias and I were on the same page about Milroe. I think I'd like to say before most other people were.
Tobias says Kalen can't answer the rectifying question honestly. He's not going to say we are going to rectify things by having a quarterback who knows where to go with the football. See, that was the thing. He would say that about Jalen. You know, Jalen is, you know, our guy. He's experienced. You know, we need an experienced guy out there. Gives us best.
Super athletic.
And I'm thinking, really? Is he the best? Anyway, so
wait a minute. Did Alabama give up 40 to Zach Calzada at A&M? Did they really?
He did. Yep. That's the game they lost.
40.
Zach Calzada. It was only low just a few years ago when he was coming in to save the program. Then he transferred out of Auburn to Incarnate Word.
Where
Let's
is
take
that
a break.
located? Yeah,
Coming
let's do.
up,
When we come back, the Phantom's Daily Dog.
Dog.
Still going to get to things I didn't know.
It's not a very long list.
Well, you're true.
He's
And
John
Gerd
Longshore.
Jr.'s Victoryland 777 Topic Wheel also today.
Always boiling hot. He's John Longshore. I'm Barry McKnight. In association with Yellowhammer News, it's Longshore and McKnight, presented by Bud Light. Hang on. I can handle this.
Yep.
I can do this. Give me a moment. Here we go. All right.
Dixie Electric Plumbing and Air rallies for you. No matter the problem, Dixie will tackle it. They're licensed and trusted electricians, plumbers, air and garage door technicians are ready to win for you. From toilets to garbage disposals, circuit breakers to HVAC systems, Dixie never fumbles. Don't throw away your hard-earned money on second-string contracting companies. Score big with Dixie. After all, they are your biggest fan. Visit calldixie.com or dial them up locally at 262-2946.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders.
Local banking expertise, the newest innovations and technology, personal attention, genuine hospitality. It's all just part of the Riverbank and Trust difference. They invite you to experience it for yourself. Welcome to banking above and beyond at Riverbank and Trust. Locations throughout the river region, locations throughout the state of Alabama. River Bank and Trust.
All guests of Longshore McKnight appear on the City of Montgomery guest hotline. Check out the most interesting in sports covering Auburn, Alabama, Troy, ASU, and all the major teams from across the country. John and Barry have the best guests brought to you by the City of Montgomery. To find out everything you need to know that is going on in the capital city, check out montgomeryal.gov. That's montgomeryal.gov, the capital of dreams.
All right, welcome back. About 22 minutes past the hour. Barry, check this out. How about this? Never heard of this before. Our good friends out at Stivers Ford here in Montgomery have got the quadruple zero event going on right now through the end of July.
Whoa.
You got to take advantage of it. Listen to this. Quadruple zero event, 0% APR up to 48 months, 0 down payment, 0 payments for 90 days, and 0 cost for maintenance for 2 years or 24,000 miles. The quadruple zero event offers available on select 24 and 25 model F-150s, Explorers, Expeditions, Broncos, Mustangs, and Escapes.
Wow.
You just got to stop by Stivers Ford in Montgomery at 4000 Eastern Boulevard and check it all out. Stivers Ford here in Montgomery, where Price sells cars and trucks during the quadruple zero sales event going on now through the end of July.
I haven't seen that many zeros altogether since Auburn's latest recruiting rankings.
Whoa.
Holy smokes.
Wow.
To the end of the month, you got 3 weeks, but get there now while the selection is good. Glad you're along with us here.
Speaking of zeros, Barry, if you look at the box score at the Phantom's Daily Dog game yesterday, there were a lot of zeros in the boxes for one team. I think they scratched across a couple, or maybe just one run. They only scratched away one run in the 8th inning last night.
Let's set the scene. The Phantom yesterday very confidently went against the defending World Series champions. Confidently. He says, by gosh, I like the Milwaukee Brewers at home against the Dodgers, who are stumbling a little bit. I wonder how the Phantom felt after issuing his Phantom Daily Dog and going with the Brewers. And the Brewers hang 5 in the first inning. A 5 spot in the bottom of the first. The Phantom's telling everybody around him's going, yeah, high-fiving each other. And the Phantom says, hang on now.
Yeah.
A lot of baseball to be played. But still, it had to feel pretty good.
Yeah, the pitcher had to feel pretty good, knowing that got 5 runs on the board, gave him a little cushion, if you will. But nonetheless, the Brewers go on to win 9-1.
Yeah, Dodgers
almost
scored
10
one run. It was in the 8th inning when it didn't really matter.
No, 9-1. Brewers win it. They were plus 120. You cashed that ticket in yesterday with the Phantom's Daily Dog. So, where are we going today? Barry, we're going to go to a game.
Alan Parsons Project used to sing, where do we go from here?
Where do we go from here?
Now that all of the children have grown up,
What about a game at 6:10 tonight? 6:10 tonight. We've got a full schedule tonight, too. Everybody's playing, I believe.
Everybody's playing. Everybody.
So there are a couple of 6:10 first pitches tonight, Barry. Actually, 2 of them. Colorado at Boston. We're not going there.
No, not going to Fenway.
We're going to Miami at Cincinnati tonight.
The Marlins are actually ahead of the Braves in the standings, despite being 7 games under 500. Cincinnati just a touch above 500 at 46-45. This is in the Great American Ballpark, home of the Brad Bohannon wagering kiosk.
Forgot about that one.
Yeah. That's what I'm here. I'm here to remind you about some of that stuff. Yuri Perez, a 6'8" right-hander going on the mound for the Marlins. Hadn't pitched much this year. Hasn't started much this year.
He's got a good arm. He's got a live arm, Barry. He's not tired out.
Throw against right-hander Nick Martinez. And Nick so far 6 up, 8 down for the Redlegs.
Well, Barry, we're going to take the visiting team tonight, the Miami Marlins, at plus 110 at Cincinnati tonight. We like the Marlins tonight to get the win against Cincinnati. 6:10 first pitch. What's the name of that ballpark again?
The Brad Bohannon. No. It's the Great American Ballpark in Cincinnati. If anybody is still interested, that's the Phantom's Daily Dog.
That's it
for today. If anybody's still interested, the Braves play tonight.
Oh, that's right.
They take on the Oakland Athletics, although they're really not Oakland. 9:05 Central Time tonight. If you're in Atlanta and you want to watch or listen to the game, it don't first pitch until after 10 o'clock. Braves will take on the Oakland Athletics from the Suter family ballpark in Sacramento, California. They don't play in Oakland anymore. Hopefully next year they'll have that $2 billion ballpark open in Las Vegas for the Las Vegas A's. They play tonight. The Braves right now, they didn't play yesterday, so they didn't lose.
Yeah.
The Braves right now, 11 games under 500. 11 under, 13 games back in the National League East. Losers of 4 in a row. And 2-8 in their last 10. So
not good. Not good. No. Yeah, that's on Major League Baseball Network if you want to stay up to watch it tonight. That's one of the other game is LA at Milwaukee. That's on TBS tonight.
And just in case you're wondering, only 2 teams in the National League have worse records on the road than do the Atlanta Braves. And
so I wonder how many
and the Pirates.
How many fans this venue in Oakland in Sacramento can accommodate?
Like 14,000, something like that. I mean, it's a AAA ballpark. Is it?
course, Oakland's not that far from Sacramento.
And they weren't drawing anything in Oakland. It's not like, that'll cut down on the attendance.
This is probably a better venue.
No
than
doubt
the
about
one
that.
they had in Oakland.
Yeah, no question. So there you go. Our Phantom Daily Dome.
Here's a couple of things I did not know as I'm perusing around other media outlets, things of that nature. I stumble upon this one at AL.com. The headline reads, former Auburn guard signs $24 million contract. I went, whoa, who? What? Former Auburn guard signs a $24 million deal. And then I'm reading it and I'm trying to find out who this guy is. I'm thinking, Devion Mitchell? What?
Here's the deal. I am, John probably immediately thought an offensive guard for $24 million. He's a basketball player. Devion Mitchell, he played for the Heat. $24 million. Here's the deal. And this is why I like this. God bless AL.com. Devion Mitchell, John, he's kind of a sore subject for Auburn basketball fans, although not too bad. Auburn's done okay. He played his freshman year at Auburn. That was it. Freshman year at Auburn. And then he transferred to Baylor. Baylor transferred. Well, he won a national championship at Baylor. Auburn has yet to win one of those. So you can't really fault him, but it is, some Auburn fans find it laughable that the headline reads, former Auburn guard.
Okay.
So, he spent 1 year at Auburn. I think he spent 3 at Baylor, but he's still former Auburn guard.
Another former Auburn player that only spent 1 year there. At least Devion Mitchell played about, 20 more games than Cam Newton did.
Well, we're talking, we talked about this the other day, and I can't think of the other person. Auburn has had some really good success with guys who were only there for 1 year. The guy that we mentioned in that context last week was Ronnie Daniels, who played 1 year at Auburn, and somebody said he was the last Auburn wide receiver. No, they said Terry Beasley was the last Auburn receiver to catch passes for 1,000 yards. And I said, that can't be right. Turns out they've had a couple. Ronnie Daniels was one. He played 1 year at Auburn and had a great year. Rudy Johnson, remember him?
I do.
1 year at Auburn in 2000 and was SEC Player of the Year. Cam Newton, 1 year at Auburn, did all right. All of those guys are claimed with, clutching them to their bosom from the Auburn fans. An Auburn Tiger, a member of the Auburn family. People don't necessarily think that about Devion Mitchell because he transferred out. Now,
it's interesting.
Transferred out somewhere else, and the Auburn fans love him, but they don't love him like they do Cam or, even Rudy Johnson. Maybe.
In Devion Mitchell's first 4 seasons in the league, his total earnings were just over $21 million. He just signed a deal for $24 million. He's played in 301 NBA games, including 69 starts. This guy's only started 69 games, and he's about to make $24 million. Are you kidding me?
Played more games than Zion Williamson has.
Unreal. I mean, that is amazing.
Okay,
here's the next thing.
That's the first thing that John did not know.
Then I saw this. 7 Alabama coaches get new contracts approved. Here are the details. So I scrolled through it. I'm thinking this has got to be all the assistant football coaches.
That would be what the vast majority of the people would say.
You would think so.
Yeah.
I had to look up this. Is this the baseball coach? I guess he got a deal.
Yeah. Rob Vaughn, women's basketball coach Christy Curry got a new contract. She took her team to the NCAA, but she didn't exactly set the woods on fire.
I think she's making $700,000. Where do you think that $700,000's coming from? Because it isn't coming from ticket sales. I can promise you that. There's another example of football paying somebody else's salary.
Well, Alabama has reached the NCAA tournament in each of the past 3 seasons under Curry, with 4 appearances in the past 5 seasons. Pretty good, right? But none of those teams has made it past the first weekend. None. And she gets a new contract. She gets a $250,000 a year raise. No, that's not right. A 50,000. I read it wrong. She was making 650,000 annually. Now she gets 700,000. 5-year deal. All right.
I mean,
has
the
never made
baseball
it past
coach,
the first weekend of the NCAA tournament.
The baseball coach is going from 900,000 to 1.275 million. Yeah. What's he done to deserve that? A little postseason, maybe? A little postseason? I want to emphasize that. You got the rowing coach is making 180 grand. The rowing coach?
Women's rowing coach Kamari Lewis is making it. I don't know if Kamari's a man or a woman. I'm sorry. Women's rowing coach Kamari Lewis is making the same amount of money per year that the allegations are that Cam Newton took in order to come to Auburn. This is the new $180,000. John, nothing against her, nothing against Alabama, nothing against anybody making $180,000. But honestly, how much coaching do you do in rowing?
Well, hey, I just would like to know,
guys row really hard and try to do it in sync. Okay, point that way. Head over there. How much real in-game adjustments are being done? How much play calling is being done in rowing? I've read books. The Boys in the Boat's a great book about the 1936 Olympic champion U.S. team. You know, hey, do you go from 33 strokes a minute to 36 here down the stretch or whatever? Is that worth $180,000? Okay.
I'd like to know why the rowing coach is making $30,000 more than the women's tennis coach.
Do they bring in a certain amount of profit that enables that?
I just don't get that one. But there again, not only is this things I did not know.
Yeah.
In terms of who these people were.
Right.
But I certainly didn't know they were making that kind of money. And I get it, compared to other coaches, they're not making peanuts. Yeah. Compared to the football and basketball head coaches, or really probably everybody else on the head coaching staff. The football staff.
Athletic assistant trainers, you would imagine.
Another
thing that John did not know.
I just did not know that. But I did want to point those little 2 nuggets out that caught my attention. The former Auburn basketball player, I had to look that one up.
Well, he was there just that 1 year.
Yeah.
And won a national championship elsewhere.
But there again, as you pointed out, there have been other players at Auburn there for just 1 year, and they certainly have made their mark. Woo!
No doubt. No question. He did not necessarily make so much of a mark. And to their credit, and this is probably why they're remembered with such unalloyed fondness, Cam didn't transfer somewhere else. He transferred in, but he didn't transfer out somewhere else.
Well, when you get kicked out of school somewhere else, you're looking for a place to go.
Neither did Rudy Johnson.
The Ronnie Daniels played 2 years at Auburn? Oh, okay.
He probably did. I thought about that as soon as I said it. I remember the 1 year. But yeah, that's probably the case.
Mal, this is is this really Mal? I mean, nothing about the Braves?
Nothing about the Dodgers?
Huh.
All right. Yeah, Rudy Johnson left as a junior. That is true. He went to the NFL and he went to the Bengals and he did pretty well. Preston also says that Vegas ballpark opens in 2028.
Oh. What was Rudy Johnson's nickname? Did he have a nickname? Yeah, I'm trying to think of what his nickname was.
Yeah, it wasn't a lizard or,
Teapot Brown or
no, not Teapot.
Yeah.
Not Little Ball of Hate. I can't remember. I'll have to look that one up. When we come back, the fabled Gurn Jr. Victoryland 777 Topic Wheel as we roll on with Longshore and McKnight in association with Yellowhammer News, presented by Bud Light.
Known by avid golfers as one of the most beautiful and challenging stops on the Robert Trent Jones Golf Trail, Cambrian Ridge in Greenville lies just 40 miles from Montgomery. It is well worth the ride for any golfer looking for 27 holes of jaw-dropping golf. The greens have been redesigned to accommodate the higher green speeds associated with their installation of the latest generation of ultra-dwarf Bermuda grass. Cambrian Ridge offers a fully stocked pro shop with all the latest equipment and apparel. Great food and beverages in the clubhouse can be enjoyed both before and after your round. Get your group together and hit the trail. Go to rtjgolf.com/Cambrian Ridge for tee times and more information.
Summer's here, and so too are its many challenges. Heat that won't quit, beers that won't fit, hammocks that won't hammock, screen doors that appear out of nowhere, flips that flop a little too much. That's why it's important to keep it simple. Keep it cool, keep them coming, and keep it easy. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light.
Don't miss your chance to win big at Victoryland Casino. Play the latest, hottest, most exciting games around with fun bonuses and big jackpots. Don't miss out on your free play. Stop by Player Rewards today and check out this month's exciting free play promotions. Come see why our players keep coming back. You'll have more fun at Victoryland Casino, where you can be a winner too. Victoryland Casino, located off I-85 exit 22, Shorter, Alabama. Must be 21 or older.
Okay, we one other thing quickly before we get to the Gurn Jr. Victoryland 777 Topic Wheel. Not only is Stivers Ford, they're not the only guys in town that are having a big sales event in the month of July. Our friends at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram, where we'll be on Friday broadcasting this very show live from the showroom. I know the 4th of July was last Friday, but Barry, 4th of July savings continue throughout the entire month of July at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Prattville. That's right. Celebrate the 4th all month long. Up to $16,000 off new 2025 Ram 2500s, up to $21,000 off new 2025 Ram 1500s, or 1.9% APR for 72 months, up to $13,000 off new 2025 Jeep Grand Cherokees. Ooh. Yes, sir. New 2025 Jeep Compass and Jeep Wranglers. Save a ton on those two models. These and so many more Chryslers, Dodge, Jeeps, and Ram vehicles are on sale now through the end of July at Stivers CDJR in Prattville on Cobbs Ford Road, where Price sells cars and trucks in Prattville at Stivers Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram.
Man, and again, through the end of July still got a long way to go.
Yes, it does.
So take advantage of it. But again, the smart buyer knows to get there early while the selection is at its best, because they do move quickly, especially at those.
Yes, they do. So, Barry, I knew I could smoke Mal out. He is, I guess he's commented about the Braves.
Yeah, normally he'll throw some shade on the Braves. Mal's a big Dodger fan, and he said, John, my mom told me I needed to stop picking on the downtrodden, so I'm trying not to talk about teams in Georgia that are 13 games back and 11 games below 500. That is true.
So you see Mal working there, Barry. You knew what he was talking about without actually calling their name. Somebody else has been known to do that.
Nobody respects that more than my co-host. The ability to do that is rare. And Mal, you have done it beautiful.
That was good.
For those who don't know, Gurn Jr. is our excellent producer. He curates and researches the Gurn Jr. Victoryland 777 Topic Wheel, presented by Victoryland 777 Casino, exit 22 off I-85 in Shorter, Alabama, where you can be a winner too. The hook is that he spends a lot of time researching, studying, putting the wheel together. And John and I have no idea.
No.
We do not know the topic. We do not many times know the background. And so it's a voyage of discovery for each of us and for you as
it's
well.
like a game show. You know, we don't know what's coming next. Trying to think of some of the game shows, like Password. Remember that? You know, you had to kind of get the guy to say something, give him a few hints.
Oh, my gosh. Dick Clark and the $25,000 pyramid.
Yeah. Oh, man.
You had Vicki Lawrence trying to have some car salesman from Reseda. You know, it's a golly.
Yeah, man.
You know, those were the days.
Or the
match
game. You know, Match Game was a little risque for its time.
Was Match Game the one that had whenever they had to, you know, the 6-person panel had to fill out their answers?
Yeah.
The theme song was always boom, 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 boom.
That was Gene Rayburn.
Oh, yeah. For some reason, he had the long, skinny microphone.
Yeah.
Nobody else used it. He had to have that problem.
You had Brett Summers, Richard Dawson, Charles Nelson Riley, Nipsey Russell.
Nipsey Russell was on there. And a lot of other people that you're thinking, a lot of people whose two main claims to television fame were they were on Match Game, they were on Love Boat. People like Carol Lindley, Dick Shawn.
Yeah.
The dude who played the male character in Wonder Woman, Lyle Waggoner.
Yeah, he was also on the Carol Burnett show.
Yes, he was. Very good stuff. Anyway,
so what did Brett Summers ever do?
I don't know. You know, she was always anything. Who in the heck is Brett Summers, and why is that a big deal? Every once in a while, they'd get an A-list person like Phyllis Diller, or, you know, you'd see.
You know, it was kind of like Hollywood Squares. You always had Paul Lynde in the middle, but you had like Charo up in the top left corner.
Yeah, you had Charlie Weaver down in the bottom. You know, you'd have the lady who played Ma Walton, you know, Michael Leonard, you'd have her on there every once in a while. Yeah.
But of course, on the Gong Show, you always had usually the same three judges. J.P. Morgan, the guy from MASH.
Oh, Jamie Farr.
Long of Nose, Jamie Farr. And then you had the guy that was on Smokey and the Bandit.
Paul Williams?
No, the other guy. Paul Williams' daddy.
Pat McCormick. Yeah.
Pat McCormick.
And you always had Gene the Dancing Machine.
Oh, yeah.
Who was just this big black guy. And he wasn't even really that much of a dance. I think he was like the janitor or something like
Beautiful.
that.
What a show.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah, the Unknown Comic.
Oh, yeah. Man,
we can go on for days. Those were the days. But we got to get to the
we do.
Let's get a couple of topics in before we go to break. And we got 5 today. Should be easy.
Yeah. Wheel seems like it's ready to go. It's spinning good today. Yeah, here we go.
Yeah. I like
Victoryland 777 Topic Wheel, and it is going to stop on Big Snub. Big Snub.
Oh, yeah. Soto, you know, who has the biggest contract in the history of organized sports, Juan Soto, he signed as a free agent with the Mets, and he's having a good year, but he was not named to the All-Star team. He's having a good year. He slumped a little while early. I think he's batting about 260 something, but his WAR, his wins against replacements, is really high. Some of the esoteric stats that nobody really understands are really good. But he's not going to be playing in the All-Star game, which is a shocker. Ronald Acuna Jr. will be playing. Pete Crow Armstrong will be playing for the Cubs. A couple of other guys that are good players having great years. But they don't, you know, Acuna does, but some of the other guys don't have the star power of Juan Soto. I'd have put him on there. That is a snub,
no kid. What a snub.
Yeah.
What are they thinking about there?
That's
Wait a minute. Acuna made the All-Star team. I mean,
he missed a bunch of time. He missed a bunch of time. That is true, and that's the big knock against him. But since he's been back, he's been epic. He's batting over 330. Home runs are there. Golly, can you imagine the Braves if Acuna, A, hadn't come back, and B, had not come back as strong as he has?
Oh, hey, has that guy come back from his suspension yet for the Braves?
Yes, Jurickson Profar. He is back. All
right, nice.
Ain't going to help, but he's back.
No, it isn't.
The damage has already been done, but he's back. All right, one more before the break.
Let's do one more before the break, Darren. Let's spin it and see what comes up. Victoryland 777 Topic Wheel, where you can be a winner too. Exit 22 off I-85 shorter, Alabama.
Faith shaken.
Faith shaken, not stirred.
Faith shaken. Oh, yeah. Wimbledon, for the first time, they're not see the guy up in the top. You still got that dude. You still got the main judge or umpire or referee or whatever. But for the first time, Wimbledon is having electronic line calling. They don't have judges. They don't have line judges anymore, where you'd have the British accent saying out.
Yep.
And the line calling, automatic ball tracking technology, it's been used. You've seen it before at Wimbledon, but it was always basically used for appeals, kind of like, the appeals in football and baseball. It's not been good. It's not been perfect. They have had some blatantly incorrect calls. Just technology. This is for those people who are screaming in baseball for, automatic umpires, for computerized balls and strikes and stuff. Even that is not foolproof. So, it's not been a bunch. There's been a couple of kind of critical ones. There's been maybe 6 or 7 in the entire Wimbledon, but there really shouldn't be any. And there's been a little bit of a storm of controversy. If you're going to miss 6 calls, just go ahead and put the human beings back out there.
We can send a man to the moon, but we can't get the technology to make correct calls in Wimbledon, right?
It's funny because you have spy satellites out there that when John's out exercising, they can tell if he has a flea on his left earlobe.
Yeah.
But you can't get from space. But you can't get a line call, right? I don't understand the technology. It seems like it ought to be foolproof. But, the position of the sun and maybe there's clouds in the sky or something like that. It ain't foolproof. That's for those of you, that's been kind of a stink at Wimbledon. Coming back to wrap up the program with some juice here. Longshore and McKnight in association with Yellowhammer News, presented by Bud Light.
At Dixie Overhead Door, we specialize in top-quality garage door solutions for homes across Alabama and Georgia. In need of a garage door repair or a brand new garage door installation, our expert team delivers fast, reliable service with local expertise that you can trust, providing customized solutions and exceptional care every step of the way. Visit us today at DixieOverheadDoor.com and experience the Dixie difference.
Grab a Budweiser and take a knee. It is the best time of the year. It's baseball season. That means sunshine. It means behind-the-back peanut tosses. And it means sharing some cold, frosty Budweisers with your boys. Because there's nothing more American than watching America's game with America's beer. So let me ask you something. Are you ready to bring your A game? Are you ready to cheer every frozen rope down the line and amazing catch at the warning track? Are you ready for pitcher's duels and slugfests? Tell me, are you ready for the thrill of an incredible walk-off victory? I can't hear you. Are you ready for Budweiser and baseball? Then get on your feet, raise an ice-cold Bud, and let's make this season larger than life. Great times are waiting. Grab some Bud!
Enjoy responsibly. Budweiser Beer, Anheuser-Busch, St. Louis, Missouri.
The Destin Connection Seafood Market offers the freshest seafood direct from the Gulf of Mexico with deliveries daily. Snapper, grouper, pompano, flounder, copia, along with medium, large, and jumbo shrimp, hand-picked crab meat, and chucked oysters. They can even cook your order for easy, quick pickup. The Destin Connection can make a po' boy with any of their seafood items that folks in New Orleans rave about. Go by and see them at 3750 Norman Bridge Road or call 288-4272 for pickup orders.
Okay, back at it, about 6 minutes to the top of the hour. Some more categories, some more topics on the Gurn Jr. Victoryland 777 topic wheel. I say we get it loaded back up and see what is left on the wheel.
All right. Interesting. I always love Gurn's titles for these.
Mm-hmm.
Including this one, wrong yardages.
Wrong yardages. Huh.
John used to blame his caddy for. Oh,
no kidding.
Oh, why? This is from golf.com. Why Tiger Woods' ex-caddy gave wrong yardages when Woods was steamed. Again, back up a little bit, back up to the top. His caddy, Steve Williams, that's Fluff, right?
No. Stevie. Fluff, what caddy for Tiger at some point in time. But
yeah,
when Tiger was in his prime, Steve was his caddy.
Yeah, he says when Tiger Woods was running a little warm, you could tell he walked quicker, talked quicker, things sped up. Woods' adrenaline was doing its thing. So he would give Tiger the wrong yardage. He'd give him the numbers.
I get this, Barry, because you're pumped up, you're jacked up. Stevie's probably thinking, this might say 150, but I'm going to tell him 145 because he's probably going to put a little bit more juice on it. I can just tell by his mannerisms and his attitude, he's a little juiced up here.
Yeah. Stevie says, it took him a little time to figure out I was doing it. First time I did it, first big time moment was on 17 of the 2000 PGA. Tiger had that battle with Bob May. 17. The yardage said it was a 56-degree wedge, and I just knew Tiger could get a 60 there. With a little, obviously, a little more loft.
Sure.
So I moved the yardage back so that he'd hit a full 60. The pin was on the front. His ball barely cleared the bunker, and he made birdie, goes on to win in the playoff. Now, if I had been wrong, see, that's what I always said. What if I was wrong? He would have, had that been mucked with an M, had that been mucked up, he'd have been in the bunker, and, maybe it would have ended up.
But, it's kind of like these.
Yes,
definitely. Yeah, it definitely does. Because the adrenaline's pumping. And you're thinking, man, he's probably going to put a little bit more on this. He might not know he is, but he's jacked up.
Yeah.
So I get that, dialing it down just a little bit more, thinking that, I don't want him to fly this pin. I don't want him to have a downhill putt. I don't want him to have a 35-footer. So, yeah, I get that. That's where the caddy comes in, the strategy of it. But, like you said, it's like these football programs. We don't want to play another game. We might lose. Well, you might win, too. And Stevie just proved that. Jeez, isn't life all about taking a few chances every now and then? Come on.
Yeah.
Life's a gamble.
Money. Yeah, all right. Let's go back.
What else we got? Gurn, 2 more to go. Let's spin them away. Victoryland 777 topic wheel.
Weird win. Yeah, we'll handle that last. This is buyout. Buyout time.
Okay.
I think I know. Oh, no, I didn't know this. The Knicks could steal Bradley Beal. Love Bradley Beal. Played at Florida. Plays for the Suns, one of the best players. Teams operating over the first and second aprons are technically not allowed to sign players who receive buyouts if they were originally making more than the non-taxpayers mid-exempt level. Yeah. The gist of it is the buyout rule only applies to the regular season. So it turns out the Knicks can only offer Beal a veteran's minimum contract for the next season.
Ooh. Minimum.
That means he must get back at least $14 million of the balance with the Suns.
Ooh.
Bradley Beal's a big deal, pardon the rhyming, but
yeah.
Yeah.
How's he going to get $14 million? You got to be kidding me. Oh.
Giving back $14 million.
What if he's still got it? Just saying. Yeah. All right. Yeah. There's actually a publication called the Daily Nick. I guess that's for Nick fans. That's interesting. I noticed that's where that came from. The Daily Nick.
There's a lot of people who would like the Daily Nick without the first K.
Yeah. No kidding.
Words and knowledge from the Former Alabama head coach. The day
Yes,
they-
but there was a former Alabama head coach that did have his own website. That didn't go well for him.
Wasn't that called Kim's Corner?
That was his wife's section
Yeah.
of his website. Yeah.
Okay.
All right,
Yeah.
one more to go. Got to spin it to make it official. We'll see what it is. Oh, the color is blue.
This must be Major League Baseball, which I did not.
Win. Look at this.
Today. Weird win. Is this
Weird.
MLB? No. This is Yannick Sinner, the Italian, who was in that epic battle at the Open with Carlos Alcaraz. Sinner was about to lose until he went Fred Sanford, until Dimitrov. This is the big one, Elizabeth. I'm coming, honey. Oh, Elizabeth, this is it. I'm telling. Oh, Elizabeth. Oh, honey, I'm coming to join you. Now, this is Dimitrov. Dimitrov was leading, and he was going to beat him. This would have been a major upset at Wimbledon. I think it's we'll have to ask Robert Kahn about this. It's either his pectoral muscle or his shoulder joint, his AC. This is on the serve.
And it's just
it's
a serving. It's hit that arm. Ugh.
Yeah. So Yannick Sinner, he was about to get upset, and he's one of the odds-on favorite. Him and Alcaraz are the two best players in the world. There's
Barry,
when he a break for him.
When he went down on the ground, I thought maybe the ball had hit him on a bad hop, in a interesting place. But now that I see it's his arm. That's tough stuff. We've had a lot of Wimbledon coverage today. Man, that's been awesome.
Yeah. A couple of things with the automatic line judges and with Dimitrov and Sinner. Good stuff. Good program today. We appreciate the energy from Travis Ryer on YouTube, Talking Tide, Second Helping, and the All Teal Jags show as well. Plus, Brian Matthews with the all-new AuburnSports.com. Haven't given them a try yet. Do it now that they've merged with On3. This is great stuff.
We got that right.
And we've got a lot going on tomorrow.
Yeah, that's right, Barry. CJ Duncan, YellowHammerNews.com will join us to kick off hour number 2. We'll also talk with Josh Harris, the Moneyline Magician, at the bottom of hour number 2. So we got a lot going on tomorrow on the program. On a Wednesday, so we're certainly looking forward to that. Robbie, I hope to have an answer for you tomorrow as well. We're kind of shooting for hopefully Friday with Phil, but we'll just see what his schedule's looking like. But as soon as we know, Robbie, we will let you know.
Yes, and we will try to ask at least a third of the questions that you have asked us to ask him about Alabama and about Hugh Freeze. For all of our guests and for our producer, Gern Jr., John Longshore, Barry McKnight, it's Longshore and McKnight in association with Yellowhammer News, presented by Bud Light.